Welcome back, everyone, for episode 9 of the Tom's Takes podcast. Folks, in the winter, many of us like to trek indoors for not just the warmth of the indoors, but also for sports like basketball and hockey. That's what we're going to be talking about on this pod with my good friend, coworker, and the PA announcer for the Omaha Mavericks, Nick Handley. Nick, how are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here. And yeah, it's as we're talking about cold weather sports. It's like in the 40s and the 50s in January. Hey, we'll take that.
Yes, sir. Yep. And so, UNO hockey, it doesn't have like a super long history like some of these other college hockey programs in states like Minnesota, Michigan. It started in 1997, but throughout the decades, you've had a lot of memories with the team as a fan and as an employee of theirs. But talk about those memories as a fan and as an announcer. What are some of your best memories in both stages?
I think with every venue change has a memory, and probably about each one of them. There was the absolute bizarre, crazy Civic Auditorium audience. I'll never forget Omaha was playing Notre Dame, and they were actually playing at the previously named CenturyLink Center, previously named Quest Center, all of the different names it went through. But with state wrestling in town, they had to host Notre Dame at the Civic Auditorium before they demolished the Civic Auditorium. And it was just one of the coolest crowds I'd ever seen. It was a close game. Everything was just such high drama in that one that from a fan standpoint, a crowd standpoint, I'll never forget that one. Then I would go to the CenturyLink Center Quest Center memory that I'll always have. And that was the last second win that Omaha had against North Dakota. Alex Hudson in the very last second in a tie game with North Dakota, and what was probably about 11,000, 12,000 attending that game. Obviously, a lot of them North Dakota fans, but to get a game winner against a team of that magnitude, and in Omaha, North Dakota, we're still building that rivalry.
Yeah.
For Alex Hudson to get that goal at the very last second, to hear the place just erupt, that was one of the coolest finishes I've ever seen. And then I don't think anybody that attended it will soon forget the beautiful disaster that was the outdoor game. Ironically, North Dakota was the opponent again, but a game that was supposed to be late afternoon. It was a February game. It was 60 degrees, though, so we had wet ice. We had issues with any of the logos that were getting beat down by the sun that just turned into soup, so they had to play that game at night under the lights. Lancer Stars played earlier in the day, and then Omaha and North Dakota played later. But it was under the lights the way I thought it should be anyway. You had the legendary Chicago Blackhawk national anthem singer Jim Corneliuson doing the anthem. And so once the thing got started, it was awesome. But then, of course, with a day filled with all kinds of issues, from equipment technical issues on the ice and the overall setup for this thing, you had the coolant system got clipped by the Zamboni in the first intermission, and all of a sudden you had coolant liquid all over one of the creases, and they considered having to cancel the game and postponing to the next day because obviously there's a toxic issue with the stuff that was leaking. They were able to clean it up, able to play. Now, North Dakota rolled Omaha in that one, but it was one of the most beautiful disasters I've ever seen. I still hope that will be revisited at some point, that they might think about doing another outdoor game with a little bit of what we learned last time to what we can apply the next time.
Yes. You have some like good memories at the Civic. You already talked about it a little bit, but do you have like more memories at the Civic? Because that was UNO's original arena. The place was sold out constantly for the few years. Like I want to say like 6-7 years. Every single game was sold out. Talk about that.
My memories as a fan are definitely Civic Auditorium driven, because when I took over in, it would have been 2007 as the PA announcer for UNO hockey, they were already moved over to the Quest Center, CenturyLink Center. And so the only games that I ever PA announced at the Civic Auditorium was when state wrestling took over CenturyLink Center and Quest Center. And so if Omaha had a home weekend, they would move over to the Civic Auditorium to play that series. So more than anything, my memories of the Civic Auditorium were as a fan, which are some of my best memories, because you could partake in an adult beverage here and there before a game and go there, and you go to the Civic Auditorium, the smell of popcorn and hot dogs and just that old arena, old rundown arena smell just felt like hockey. You're on top of everything. There was never a bad seat in that place. In fact, I always liked being in the upper bowl-ish area because you almost felt like you were hanging over the ice.
Yeah.
And so just so many different elements of having some great games. I don't think anybody will ever forget the Michigan game. I was there for that one. Some of the great players that came through, watching Dan Ellis have a monumental career and really set a gold standard for goaltending at Omaha. You know, seeing him do a lot of that there at the Civic Auditorium, and, you know, the Greg Zannons of the world, some of the great players that really set the tone for, as you mentioned, a hockey program that is still a little bit more short-lived compared to others, but guys that really set the tone that we still look in such high reverence to this very day. So it's more about the players that I remember watching at the Civic Auditorium and just the overall atmosphere as a fan, more so than anything.
Mm-hmm. Let's get into the vlog episode. What did you like? What did you not like? Talk about what I did in the vlog episode to give Baxter Arena its proper respect and the proper respect for the UNO hockey program.
Well, the thing I like more than anything is what I've always enjoyed about Baxter Arena and what I was excited about when they opened up the venue is having Aksarben Village right there. I like that you had a chance to go to, you know, the certain areas, the certain locales there, you know, whether we're talking about a DJ's dugout, whether we're talking about a back lot, whether we're talking about, you know, a Voodoo Taco, even a Godfather's, you know, a local staple as well. And now you've got Kincaidor Brewing over there. You've got so many different options, Paulie's. And so there's so many different ways that you can enjoy yourself before the game, great ways to enjoy yourself afterwards. So I love that part of it was ingrained into the overall experience at Baxter Arena, because I think if you're going to make it a game day destination, you got to either start or end the night at Aksarben Village. So I like that part of it. Everything from the in-game experience, from the food fair, I think that's always an important thing too, because for people like me that spend so much time at Baxter Arena, but I'm in my little in-between penalty box area, I don't get a chance to go up in the concourse and see a lot of the stuff my son and wife do. And so I live vicariously through them. I hear about the food options and the drink options and the things that they have for, you know, different ages for fans, and the Lawler's custom shop, all of that. I pretty much either see for a split second or I hear it secondhand. So seeing you tackle all of that, I think was, especially for people that are there a lot but don't get a chance to experience it a lot, I think was very beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know how you got this gig, but for the folks at home, talk to them how you got the UNO hockey gig. You were announcing for another hockey team that played at the Civic Auditorium, and they, of course, were the Omaha Aksarben Knights. And that, of course, led to you getting the UNO job. Talk about that.
I had never PA announced hockey in my life. I was doing Creighton women's basketball PA announcing, and when they played at the Civic Auditorium before they opened up DJ Sokol Arena, and the Omaha Aksarben Knights offices were also at Civic Auditorium. It was a Saturday afternoon game, probably nice sleepy crowd, not a lot going on. Everybody who's ever been to a Civic Auditorium, if it wasn't hockey or Creighton men's basketball, there were some Creighton women's games that got somewhat packed as well, but this was not one of those. I don't know why I remember that detail. But after the game, a gentleman that I had never seen in my life, ended up being the general manager for the Omaha Aksarben Knights with the Calgary Flames, had asked me if I'd ever done hockey PA announcing, and I told him I had not. He said that this was midway through their first season, by the way, and he'd said that they were looking to bring in a new PA announcer and was curious if I was interested, and I was reluctant because I had never done it, and I knew that was pro hockey. And he said, I'll tell you what, why don't you do this game we have tonight, and if you like it, great, it's yours. If you don't, we'll look for someone else. And I said, okay, well, you know what do I have to lose doing that? And it paid decent. So I did it. The first period, I was pretty much convinced, okay, I'm not doing this again.
Okay.
Because the pace of which the information that you have, and you've been through this, Tom.
Yes.
The information that you have to get from goals to assists, subtracting the time on the clock, to get all that information out. And it's not all on what you're doing. You're relying on other people to give you information. And when that information is not given to you in a certain time frame, you have that internal clock once the puck drops, say, after a goal, to get who scored the goal, who got the assist, the time on the clock, and all of that. And you want to do it in a very engaging manner when the home team scores.
Yes.
But you feel like when you haven't got the assists yet and you're still waiting and you're still waiting and you're still waiting, that time is passing, and it seems like it gets even more awkward if you announce it, say, 30 seconds after it happened. And I wasn't getting information, and just a lot of trying to figure out some type of routine of getting the goals, getting the assist, being able to, again, doing simple math of subtracting from the 20-minute period clock, all of those little things. And it was very frustrating. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. But as we kind of got into a little bit of a routine, second period got a little bit better. Third period went a lot better. By the time the game was over, I actually enjoyed it. I actually thought, you know what? This could be a lot of fun. And, hey, being with a pro hockey outfit like the Calgary Flames couldn't hurt. No. So I decided to give it a go. And of all the things that I've PA announced in my life, I've done basketball, I've done football, I've done baseball. Hockey is still my favorite because of the action. You feel like you do get to be a part of the fan engagement with, bolstering power play calls and penalty kills and goals. And that level, too, at the pro hockey level, you never know. You might be following the puck and you're watching the action. All of a sudden, you're like, why is everybody cheering? There's nothing going on. You look the other way and you see that there's a fight breaking out. And then sit in between the visitor penalty box and the home penalty box and listen to the two people who just got thrown in the box for fighting, continuing their verbal fighting back and forth. I felt like I was a judge in a tennis match going back and forth and back. I mean, so there was just a lot of cool things that you don't experience in other sports. And I got hooked. I was bummed that they left shortly after that. But then Omaha was looking to fill their PA announcing void right as the Omaha Sarbon Knights left. So I went from one hockey organization to a college hockey program, and it was great. Now I'm in my 19th year of doing it.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of luck.
Luck and having confidence in yourself for sure.
There you go.
Because I could have said, nah, I ain't going to do it.
Yeah. Someone
Someone else would have.
But yeah, you through in that first Knights game, you made the adjustment after it seemed like it was going to be a disaster at first.
Oh yeah.
But you learned on the fly, and you did a great job of that. And then you made the necessary adjustments, and then you got the hang of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you stuck with the Knights for the rest of their time in Omaha. But now I want to talk about, why do you think this is a non-Mavericks related? We'll get back to Baxter Arena in just a moment, but why do you think the Knights left Omaha? Just 2 years.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing for me personally was I think they had unrealistic expectations of the type of fan consistency, the attendance consistently that they would get. Now, I think people were very excited to see that level of hockey in Omaha, and Omaha has always been dubbed for such a long time as a hockey city, a hockey town. And I think that's true, but I think the one thing we know about Omaha sports, you know this, I know this, everybody who's been involved in some way, shape, or form is we're very loyal fans. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up watching the Lancers.
Yes.
The Lancers were here before Omaha hockey was here. Then when we had college hockey, we know this is a very college-driven sports town, very college-driven state. So, of course, there was going to be an excitement for college hockey as well. So Omaha hockey, UNO hockey had planted their flag as well. So you had the Lancers and you had UNO. And then in comes the Omaha Sarbon Knights. And without doing the whole, go along, then you get along mentality that I think they probably would have behooved them to follow, I think they felt, hey, we're the best level of hockey. They really try to jam it down the fans' throat with the ticket prices to go to the Civic Auditorium, $40 to $50 to see a pro hockey game. But at the Civic Auditorium, that wasn't, in my opinion, going along. No. That was trying to impose their idea and belief that they are the superior hockey organization, and you should support it as such. So I think they had some unrealistic expectations. I think they did make some changes with ownership that second year to try to make it a little bit more Omaha friendly, tried to incorporate the love for UNO hockey and Lancer hockey and try to see if all three could play nicely. And you did see a little bit of spike in attendance for Omaha Exarban Knights hockey, but it still wasn't what the organization and the Calgary organization wanted.
No.
They felt that they could be better suited in another Midwest market in the Quad Cities. That didn't last very long either. I just think they had unrealistic expectations when it came to the type of attendance that they were going to draw night in and night out.
The franchise that was the Omaha Exarban Knights is now, here's the funny thing, they're back in Calgary now. Yeah, they're, I think, the Calgary Wranglers or the Hitmen. It's one of those lower level hockey teams that they have in Calgary and all over Canada. But I think the Canadian NHL franchises, what I've noticed in recent years is that a lot of them have moved their AHL teams to Canada,
right,
to be closer to home.
You expect, and this is the part of sports, either cities or states that don't have that pro team. And when I say the pro team, either an NHL team or NBA, NFL, MLB team.
Big Four.
So you have fans for the taking, but again, this is a football state. This is a football country.
Yes.
If you're doing something like that in football, and we saw the success that the Nighthawks had, even the Mammoth for a little bit as well, that hockey is a niche sport. You can draw an audience, but to expect it every night, you've got to build that. You can't just snap your fingers and hope that that's going to happen in year one and year two. And I thought what they learned in the Quad Cities was something very similar. And so that whole idea of, especially for Canadian organizations, that's their national sport.
Yeah.
Hockey is their sport. So they're going to get that type of love and probably those expectations being fulfilled a lot more up north than what they were having in the United States, especially in smaller Midwest cities that don't have pro sports, but are so splintered of liking the Lancers, liking Creighton basketball, liking UNO hockey, going to Lincoln to watch Nebraska women's and men's basketball during the winter. So you've got to compete with a lot of different things, especially in eastern Nebraska.
Yes, sir. Now let's talk about Baxter Arena, and we're gonna go through these characteristics about the arena one by one, and we're gonna rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. We'll begin with location. How do you like the location of Baxter Arena?
I think it's perfect. To me, it's Midtown. I know it's not Midtown Crossing. That's a little bit further east. But to me, with so much development out west, that I feel that the 60th and Center, 72nd and Center area is pretty much that central location of the greater Omaha area. So I don't think there's a bad place to be in the city where it's really difficult to reach Baxter Arena. So as far as a centrally located campus like UNO is, I think Baxter Arena, obviously being right there on the doorstep of campus, I think is a perfect location as far as centrally located as you could be.
10 out of 10 for me, I agree. And it's well located, as you said, near the campus. It's smack dab in central Omaha. It's very easily accessible from all parts of the metro.
It's kind of cool visibly, too. Coming down center, you see not only the baseball facility now and softball facility, but as you're approaching, you see that the dome top of Baxter Arena, and it's visible in a lot of different areas, and I think that always creates a little FOMO, or what am I missing? Was there an event going on there? Even men's, women's basketball, volleyball. Is there something going on there? So I think just that location, but the structure of it too. It's a good visual.
Mm-hmm. Outside atmosphere, I would give this, I would say a solid 8 out of 10 because we've already mentioned it earlier. There's places like Voodoo Taco. There's DJs. There's several places in Exarban Village, and it's just a very short walking distance away. And one other cool thing that I highlighted in the vlog episode is that the UNO drum line, they play outside of Exarban Village before the games. I think that's fantastic. That anytime I go to a UNO game, that fires me up every single time. What say you? Yeah,
I think I would give it a 9 because I think they maximize what they have at their disposal. You mentioned the drum line. I think that's such a cool idea for people that maybe are in Exarban Village, just having dinner. Maybe they didn't have plans of going to a game. You hear the drum line come by. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, okay, something's obviously going on. Then all of a sudden you look at your phone. You're like, oh, there's a hockey game going on. Well, maybe we should check that out. So then you might even get a little bit of walk-up crowd for that. But anytime you can park in a parking lot, whether it's at the Exarban Village side at free in the garage, or you find yourself in the Baxter Arena parking lot and you can walk right across the street and you are right there in the center of commerce. I think that is as good as you could hope for, especially for a Division I hockey program that gets so much attendance, but also is still really showcasing this brand new arena and really this new campus. I think what UNO Athletics does so well with that arena and that outside atmosphere is they take advantage of every resource that is there at Exarban Village, and I think you had to. That's why I love the location going back to that. But yeah, I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Yep. Parking and accessibility. It's we already talked about it a little bit. It's very easily accessible from all parts of the metro. The only thing that I don't like about the parking is that the parking lots like near the arena, they can fill up very easily, and oftentimes I have to park in the garages out in Exarban, and I have to walk. I mean, it's not a far distance by any means, but I don't like walking in the cold through a sidewalk that, or actually a crosswalk, I should say, that takes forever. I mean, the crosswalk, like the white man sign on the crosswalk, it rarely ever pops up, and it just keeps me waiting and waiting and waiting. But it's still all right. I would give this parking and accessibility, I would say 6 out of 10.
For me, I'll go higher. And again, I experience it on the Baxter Arena side of it. I get there early enough that I'm in the media parking lot. But, when I've gone to events at Baxter Arena, yeah, there can be a little bit of that log jam when it's going from Exarban Village over to Baxter Arena just on the crosswalk. But again, I think it's so much closer than what some other venues have. I remember going to Magnus Arena in Denver and watching a UNO Denver game, and that's, you got to go through campus. It's kind of choppy, and to try to get share rides right up against the arena as opposed to having to go to certain spots, that to me is kind of challenging. We've been to Amsoil Arena over in Duluth, Minnesota, and I think a lot of their benefit is they have skywalks, but it is also Duluth, Minnesota, so you're going to probably need that with the cold.
Yes.
But, I mean, from their parking to the actual arena itself, it is a little bit further off and a little bit more remote. So I think UNO, compared to a lot of its competitors, especially in the NCHC, if we're talking about hockey, I think that parking situation and accessibility is up there. The only thing that I would want to see, and maybe it's coming in near time as they put up the new athletic facility around between baseball and Baxter Arena, is maybe you all of a sudden see a parking garage on the Baxter Arena side. I think that would be something that would really behoove the overall accessibility part of the experience for UNO.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to exterior. This is a pretty high score for me. I would give this 9.5 out of 10. I really like the exterior of the place, because you walk up to the arena, you feel like you're going to a sporting event. You're going to a hockey game, and you're going to a hockey game because there's the community ice rink. You can easily see it from the outside, and the crowd's bustling, and they got the UNO on the side of the building. I think that's a really nice touch, because you got to let the people know that this is where we play. This is the home for not just UNO hockey, but UNO men's and women's basketball and volleyball as well. But yeah, this is our building. This is where we call home. What say you?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head in that last part there. Is for so long, UNO Athletics and Omaha Athletics has had to go off of campus for the most part, for the majority of their sports. Baseball had to go to Boys Town for such a long time, and a variety of other fields as well. Hockey was going downtown
the Civic,
to the Civic and to the CHI Health Center.
Yep.
And so, when it comes to recruiting, you want to be able to recruit not only facilities, but convenience of those facilities too. And so even having, other than the SAP Fieldhouse and Cornelia Field for previously football, now soccer, you really didn't have those on-campus athletic facilities that you see at a lot of Division I programs. And now UNO can point to it, look at their their new innovative campus, but also you can look at their old side of the campus, the more historical side, and still be able to see Baxter Arena from there. And you mentioned having that O on there. This isn't a Omaha arena that UNO Athletics is able to rent out. This is theirs. You know, they get the sales from the concessions. They control all of that.
Yes.
And so, and I do think it's cool to see the community ice when that's lit up, even when there's nothing going on. It provides a little extra flair to it, a little extra illumination to walking in there. I think everything from the exterior, it's very tight. It's a I'll get technical, or the architect in me. I think it is very symmetric. All of those things, those little tiny details, I think when putting this building up, not only having their own facility, but also having that attention to detail, I thought was very important.
Mm-hmm. We go from the exterior to the interior. I really like it as well. I say 10 out of 10 because Baxter Arena, and I know we've talked about this before, it's modern and it is with the times and it's intimate as well. Civic Auditorium had the intimacy, but it wasn't modern. It didn't have the premium suites. It didn't have all the bells and whistles that we expect from arenas today. And so Creighton basketball moved, UNO hockey followed along with them to the then Quest Center when that was built.
Mm-hmm.
And the Quest CenturyLink CHI today, it's a much more modern arena. But the problem for UNO, Creighton doesn't have this problem, but UNO did have this problem, is that it was big. It was a little too big for them. And so they moved closer to campus to Baxter Arena, and it's a more modern arena that has all the bells and whistles, like I said, and it has that intimacy too. The intimacy of the Civic, the modernity of the Quest CenturyLink CHI.
Yeah, and I think that was always the vision, because I do think that this is as close to a 10 out of 10 as you possibly could have because of the two venues that Omaha Hockey had played in previously. It's morphing the two to have those modern amenities, but also have that very intimate, very tight, on top of the action type feel for the crowd, not only for the crowd and the fan experience, but also to the players' benefit. When you want a home ice advantage, you want that thing to be compact. You want to be able to feel the fans and the noise. There are many times that I went and did games at the CenturyLink Center or CHI Health Center when UNO was playing, and they'd have 8,000 there, but it didn't feel like it. You'd look up and they'd have the curtains drawn for the upper bowl. And, that was always kind of a weird thing. I don't want to say embarrassing, but it was just, It was one of those things that signified this building is too big for this sport and this fan base. So I think what they've done from the accessibility inside the 360 concourse, which I think was important compared to the Civic Auditorium, that when you went to go get concessions, you were blocked off from the action. I think that was a big part of it too. And I think and this is the most nitpicky thing I have, because when we were in Duluth, Minnesota, this was during the year that Mike Kemp and others were scouting a lot of the different NCHC venues on top of other college venues to see what they ultimately wanted Baxter Arena to look like. And I remember experiencing their little club bar that kind of jets over the ice a little bit, and it's actually a sit-down type bar. I thought that was one of the coolest things. And I remember telling Mike Kemp, hey, if there's anything you want to take away from Amsoil Arena, that's it. That's really cool. I could see that being a major hit at Baxter Arena. Unfortunately, the structure, they couldn't do that at Baxter Arena. I wanted to see that. Other than that, but I mean, they have so many other things. They have the Builder Trend Bar. You have so many different areas where you can socialize, and it does feel like sort of an exclusive club area. So they've checked that box. I just thought it would be cool to have that, the one that sort of jets out over the ice like they have at Amsoil Arena. But hey, I digress.
I think the Rangers and Knicks have something similar to that at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, you can literally watch from above, like right above the court.
Yeah, it's like a lounge above it. Yeah, it's really neat.
That's insane. Let's go to Concourse. We already talked a little bit about it, but let's expand on it a little further. And yes, I give the Concourse, I would say, 10 out of 10, because the Concourse, you mentioned it earlier, you can see the action from there. You're not blocked off like you were at the Civic. It's nice. It's wide open. It's clean. It's not too dark. It's got some detail attached to it. It's similar to the exterior. It lets people know that this is UNO's building with all the detail, all the like the murals, the history of UNO athletics, not just hockey. But yeah, what say you?
It's good, and the great thing is, I think there's room for growth on continuing to tell the UNO hockey story, because as you've seen, when you're down over by the locker room, you see the Wall of Fame, and it's got the pictures and the different plaques of different accomplishments from all the players that have worn the UNO sweater. I would love to see something like that, even if it's just a small section of the concourse of a little UNO Hockey Hall of Fame, or just a little section that tells the story, because not a lot of people can get down near the locker room and see their Wall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be kind of cool to have something like that in the main concourse. So when you do have a lot of these first-time fans, and especially those younger fans,
yes,
and they can see a little bit about the history of the program, I always think is a plus. So that's I know it's a minor thing, and I think UNO is obviously very, very proud of its history. I'd love that to be a little bit more visible to the common fan. But as far as the options that you have from food and drink, and from, you see Durango walking around the concourse, shaking hands and taking pictures with all the young fans, everything you'd want to experience in that most busy area, they have. The other thing that I love that they have too is the little bit of the ledge seating with the high chairs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool, because you feel like you're at a bar high top. So if you don't necessarily have to have the premium seat to watch the game and still get into the action, you have that the bar high top, high chair up against those ledges on each end. I think that's also a cool touch.
Mm-hmm. That transitions into our next topic, honoring team history. I think, yeah, they do a decent job of honoring team history. I think they could do a little more. I think they should be displaying like retired jerseys, like in the rafters.
Yep.
They should be doing that for Jake Gensel. Obviously, this is the guy that led UNO to the Frozen Four. They could do that for other players. Like, who would you say?
Oh, I'd say Dan Ellis, Greg Zanin, Alex Nikiforuk. I would put, I'd put David Brisson in there. I'm probably missing some too. I mean, you mentioned Jake Gensel and that run in the Frozen Four. I mean, Ryan Massa is worthy of what he did in goal for the Mavericks that year too. Mike Kemp's signature is on the ice, but I don't know if you put a suit coat, retire a suit coat. But I mean, even Dean Blaze, in the short time that he was in Omaha, he got this program to the final, or to the Frozen Four. So I think even Dean Blaze there, I'm hoping Mike Gabinet is going to be at that level as well, with a lot of the accomplishments that he's had with this program. So yeah, I think that there's definitely some room to continue to tell the story. And I'd even say this, I'll go a step further. This might be aging myself, but in my 40s, what I always like in the tunnel walk videos is that nod to the history of the program. I think there always needs to be, if I'm storyboarding this thing, and again, I'm not telling our amazing Omaha video crew what to do, but the things like, as a fan for me, and we've had these videos before that I loved, is you start with the current team, then you kind of go back in time and show some of the old wins, the old players, and some of those big moments from back in the day, and then you bring it right back down to bring it right back to present day and the modern team again before the team comes out. So there are different ways, I think, of honoring the past. I think it goes with the video work that goes into the in-game experience, as well as what you can put as far as jersey retirements and telling the story otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they do honor their history a little bit. I think they do a good job of honoring like their team history. They always have the NCAA tournament banners, that you see on the rafters, and of course the Frozen Four banner is right there. It's obviously the program's biggest accomplishment. Yeah, we just think they could do a little better in terms of honoring great players that have worn the O. Let's talk about food, and I know you tend to defer on this since you can't really eat.
Other than the pregame meal of Godfather's Pizza, I'm not very good at this. But again, I have two people in my family, between my 5-year-old son, who I think tries everything, and my wife has her go-tos as well.
Yep, I would say the Maverick hot dog. It's not really a special hot dog. It's just a hot dog that's called the Maverick hot dog because the team's called the Mavericks. But it was a good dog. I would give that a an 8.5 out of 10. And then the Godfather's Pizza, it's always a must get when you're at a UNO game. I would say that 9 out of 10 for me. It's not the greatest I've ever had, but it's very good. It gets the job done every single time. And then there's the monkey bread that Godfather's Pizza has, and it tastes good, but it gets really sticky on the fingers.
Sure.
It's like it's basically a giant cinnamon roll.
You might need a fork with it then.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think there is one hidden gem that I told you about this before that I don't know if it's done on purpose or if it's just a really great coincidence sort of accident. My wife kept telling me, we're a big pretzel family, and my wife kept telling me that on one side of Baxter Arena where they have pretzels, that there tends to have a little sweetness to one, where it's almost as if the pretzel batter and the funnel cake batter, or there's a little bit of funnel cake batter left that gets into the pretzel. And it had been going on for a while. So finally, I got to go to the Guns and Hoses game with the Omaha Police and Omaha Fire Department. They played at Baxter a couple of years ago. And I finally had it. And she was right. It was this perfect little tinge of sweetness like a funnel cake, but it was mainly pretzel, and it was the best stadium pretzel I'd ever had. Well, then she told me at the beginning of the year, she said, I think they figured it out because now it's just a regular pretzel. But the last home series, she said, I think it's back. I experienced it. It's the sweetness was back. The funnel cake taste was back to it. So that was pretty cool. Again, I don't know if that's an accident or if that is done on purpose. And the other thing I'd want to see, because every other NHL team in their venue have it, and I'm sure there's probably some other college programs that have this as their fare for their fans, you got to have the hockey helmet nachos.
Yes.
Got to have some hockey helmet nachos. Yeah. That's the one thing got to have at Baxter Arena.
Yep.
They don't have it yet. They need it.
Yes. Yeah, hope they're listening.
That's right.
Yep. I like the food. It's very good food. I would give the food personally I would say 8 out of 10 overall. Okay. Let's go to the scoreboard. Brand new scoreboard for this season. It's big, it's clean, it's modern, obviously. It has a lot more graphic capabilities than the previous board had. The previous board, it was fine. A lot of the basic stuff, the score, the time, and some graphics, but I think it ran out of useful life, and I think it was time for bigger and better things with this new Baxter Arena board that you didn't see in my original vlog episode, but I did post a short on it of the new Baxter Arena scoreboard. I really like the board. The one thing I wish it had were maybe it's not necessary given the size of the arena, because the bigger arenas tend to have them, is underbelly boards that the CHI new scoreboard has, and the Pinnacle Bank Arena has those as well. I would say the Baxter Arena scoreboard, I would give that another 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say, again, for the college hockey venues that you see, I think this is probably right up there with the very best of them. The old scoreboard was 10 years old, so they had to have a new one. That was a panel one where each square of each side you were going to see on that cube was going to be blocked off, where now you have that. What's very popular with the video boards is that continuous, almost
360.
infinity 360 board. So the video quality is so much more sharp and clear. The sound even is a little bit more sharp and clear, that the sound that actually comes off the video board, and as it relates to the speakers too. So a lot of those little details I think are good. And look, as great of an arena as this is, everybody has this issue at any arena, is there's going to be certain sight lines that are going to be difficult to see the game live. If you're, say, up against the boards, you may not be able to see directly to your left down the other side of those boards. So you're relying on the scoreboard and the video quality to see what's going on. And I think this scoreboard, without question, brings that to life a lot more than the old one did, because, quite frankly, it is more modern and it's bigger.
Yes, sir. Let's go to cost. The ticket that I got to the game where I filmed the vlog episode, it was a lower bowl ticket, and it cost about, I want to say, $50, which is not bad for a decent college hockey program. I would say I think the upper bowl that obviously is going to be much cheaper. Those were about, I want to say, 15 to $20
Mhm.
as I looked online. Yeah, they are decently priced. I would say the cost for the tickets, I would say, yeah, another 9 out of 10. The food prices, yeah, they weren't crazy either. Like a Godfather's pizza that cost, I want to say like $6 or $7. A water is like $3. It's yeah, it's you're not gonna break your bank anytime you go to a UNO game.
Well, anymore, I think if you're making it either going by yourself to watch a game or you're going with the family to watch the game, anytime you're going to any stadium anymore, anything from D1 college hockey to pro hockey, you know you're going to pay a premium for everything. That's just how it is. So, from having said that, I don't think Baxter Arena prices are radically higher or lower than what you typically see. So yeah, it's hard to say that their prices are either unreasonable or too low. I think they're very competitive to what every other modern arena has right now because yeah, you're not just paying for that food item, it's the experience that comes with it. But also there's the part of the ticket this is where I'd say UNO is doing such a tremendous job with this. The Omaha Athletic Department is doing a great job at this. Is Upper Bowl, and we talked about just the overall way that this arena is constructed. The Upper Bowl is actually a really cool seat, and anymore, they're putting out $10 Upper Bowl seats for a lot of series. And I think $10 to go to a hockey game, even if it's in the Upper Bowl where it's still a really good seat and you still feel like you're really in the action. And in some cases, you're probably in a better seat because you can see the entire thing developing in front of you. $10 on any given weekend to watch a college hockey game, I think is fantastic.
There is not really a bad seat.
There's not.
At Baxter Arena. Yeah, and we talked about the intimacy, and you feel like you're right on top of the action at Baxter. You couldn't really say that about the Quest CenturyLink CHI. And yeah, you felt that way at the Civic, but yeah, you just didn't have the modernity that Baxter has. Let's go to fan support and inside atmosphere. Mavs fans, I mean, they bring it every time I come. I don't come as nearly as often as I should, but yeah, they've always been a great fan base. 10 out of 10.
I would say for the Mav Puck community, the Red Army community, the ones that have been there from day one, these are some of the most loyal fans. They travel to a lot of the away games, even if it's out of conference. And so there's this section of UNO hockey supporters that are second to none when it comes to everything going on in the program. And so when you have that core fan base, I think you're always going to be above a lot of other programs. As far as the casual fans, and this is where I think Omaha has done a fantastic job of continuing to lean into we are now a hockey school. And so you're trying to get students that, quite frankly, are coming from different high schools that probably don't know much about hockey. They're used to going to Friday night football games. They're used to going to high school basketball games and volleyball games. They're not familiar with actual NSAA or wherever else they were from, unless they're from Minnesota, to see actual high school hockey and to where it's a big deal. So you're getting the bodies there. Now it's about educating them on when to really get into it as well, because the student section is usually packed to the gills. It's been impressive, especially as of late. It's now turning the amount of people you have in your student section into an even bigger advantage of being a little hostile. You don't want to necessarily be the Lawson Lunatics in Kalamazoo where you're going over the line and getting personal on certain players, but given the goalie and stuff, and they do that to an extent, but there's definitely room for growth with the amount of students that they get, that it could be a really intimidating type of environment. But there are certain games that I like to just sit back and listen after a goal or after a big moment, because there are certain nights, really the majority of the nights when we have a full house, you have not only a good crowd, but you have a good hockey crowd that they know when Omaha cleared the puck that it was a big moment to do so, and they're cheering and they're getting the UNO chant going. It's a pretty intelligent crowd for the most part, which I think is always helpful. It's one thing to get the butts in the seats, but it's another to get butts in the seats that know the game and know when to be even more loud than they already are.
Yeah, the Maverick crowd is a very knowledgeable crowd. That's what makes them great.
Yep.
They're loud, they're knowledgeable, they are just a fantastic crew. It's a great fan base. And lastly, we'll talk about cheer squad and mask. Actually, there's one other thing that we'll talk about before that. Amenities like bars and restaurants and kids players. But let's talk about cheer squad and mascot first. We talked about Durango a bit. He's lovable. He's everywhere. I would say he's a 9 out of 10 for me. He isn't amazing, but he gets the job done. What say you? And
he's
the cheer squad as well.
It's the face, the logo on the sweater when you have the Durango Bull. He's representing that. You can slap some skates on him. He'll skate around. He'll race contestants during intermission promotions, and so he's visible. That's the thing. It's one thing to have a mascot, but how accessible and visible are they? And I don't think that's ever been a problem with Durango. And as they have modernized the Durango look. It's a clean look, but more than anything, I think the mascot's most important position, I think, is the presence with the young fans.
Yes.
Because you and myself, if Durango's there or not there, it's not going to really bother our experience. But I know there are a lot of young fans that a player could walk by, they'd be excited. But if Durango walks by, they're really excited. So I think the presence and accessibility with the young fans that Durango has and taking pictures with all of them and high-fiving them, I see that so often that I think, he and they are doing a fantastic job of that.
Yes. And the Spirit Squad, too, like the cheerleaders, I think they do a good job of leading the crowd, specifically the student section. And we got to talk about the crew with the fire sticks.
That's right, the baton twirlers. Yeah, right before the tunnel walk begins and starting lineups, they're out there. I can always tell when they're nearby without even looking because I can smell the kerosene on the the fire batons. But yeah, that was kind of a cool little addition. And that was the one thing that you'll see in some of the NCHC venues is their cheerleaders will actually be on skates. You see that a lot of the NHL venues as well. That I know. The Chicago Blackhawks, they have what they would consider their dance team. They're on skates, and so they're performing while they're on skates. That's pretty tough to do. I mean, because a lot of the dance team is also for basketball, for volleyball. So to have hockey-specific ones that could actually be on skates and perform, that would probably be the next level up. So, all right, how do you offset that? Well, you bring out kind of a cool, unique little – anytime you can introduce a controllable little fire effect to turning the arena lights off, I think it's pretty cool. So, I like what they do the most with what they have to work with for sure.
Yep. Yeah. The Blues have a similar crew called the Blue Crew, which I talked about in my Blues episode. And I did an Anaheim Ducks episode last year. They have a crew called the Power Players.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they're very similar to what we've been talking about. But, I think one thing that the cheer squad could do is they could, and I think they already do this technically, but do they do this on the regular where they like on the ice, like throwing out T-shirts? They got like a T-shirt cannon.
Not a lot. Again, that goes with I don't know how many of them skate or can skate. Okay. So usually that's left to the they always call them the Mav Ops folks, and I know that's been some of the baseball players will get in on the action there. There's a couple of they've always had a kind of a crew, both men and women, that are pretty good on skates that can shoot the T-shirt gun. And so it's kind of its own on-ice crew that they've had for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and let's go to amenities like bars, restaurants, kids' play areas. We'll end with that. I like it. We talked about the Breakaway Lounge. We talked about Durango. But one thing that I think Baxter Arena is missing, but I don't think they may not have the room for this, is a kids play area. Like we can enhance the kids experience a little more with we already have Durango obviously, but I think there's like some area in the arena where we can like put like puck, like a shoot the puck.
Yeah,
at
kind of
at
an
the goal thing.
immersive, like they have had at the Durham Museum, where you can see the
Yes.
RPMs. And I agree. I think you might be onto something, though, as far as I don't know if they have the room for that, because you do have certain vendors and the kiosks all throughout that concourse area, so you have a little bit of limited space there. But there's probably something that you could squeeze in there, and maybe it's not even something that's permanent. Maybe you do it for a month, or maybe a sponsor comes in and they want to sponsor the slap shot challenge or something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I think there definitely could be a little bit more of that. But I go back to this of, are you utilizing everything at your disposal, the resources that you have? And I still feel, I know firsthand with my son, he absolutely loves his experience there. And this is the one thing that I'll add to the overall experience when it comes to the young fans, is these players. And I think this is a tribute to Mike Gabinet and his coaching staff and the program that he runs. He makes sure that these guys, any chance they have that opportunity to interact with these kids, that they do so. So when you have the post-game public skates, a lot of the players are out there. They're signing autographs for a lot of the little kids. And it just makes someone's night, makes those kids' night when they get a chance to meet one of these guys. And they're always just so respectful to the fans, but especially the young players, because they were them once. They know how impactful it is to meet the guys that are out there that you're watching. And so I think Gabinet has done such a good job of really making these guys proud to do that, to represent the hockey program in the community and also just in the arena. I mean, I've seen players that were a scratch due to an injury, but one family might recognize them. That player will stop and sign an autograph. When he wants to be in uniform and playing, he's probably working through an injury. He still stops and gives them time and takes a picture with them. You've got obviously very good hockey players on this program, but I think for the most part, you have even better human beings. And I think that's something that Gabinet is very proud of. And I think that also goes with the experience of how fan-friendly the environment is.
Yep. One thing that I think the Mavs could install immediately, like whenever they wanted, is a couple of very simple games: air hockey and bubble hockey. You could literally just put the tables on there right now.
I think they've actually done for intermission promotions. They've done the bubble, they've done the bubble soccer on the ice, which turned out to be one of the more entertaining things. And there's also, speaking of intermission promotions that they've done before that I wish they would bring back, the old mite hockey little intermission times,
Yes.
watching those kids out there skating around, falling down. And I'm probably biased now because my son would be one of those kids too. But I remember when I did not have a son and we'd go to intermission, we watched them. It would be, everybody was just smiling watching those kids. We didn't even know if they scored a goal, but just watching them trying their very best, and they're a fraction of the size of what you just watched. It's pretty cool too. I'd love to see that come back.
Speaking of kids playing hockey, did you see that video out of Hershey where the kids were just dropped the gloves immediately and started fighting?
Hey, some pockets take it a little more serious than others, I guess.
That was hilarious. And one last note, about a year ago at this time, for my 28th birthday, I'm almost 29 as we're recording this. On that birthday, on January 24th of last year, I went to a UNO game and I sat in a suite. And that was a really good suite experience. Yep, it's it really and they have good food there too. So yeah, Baxter Arena, I think it does a fantastic job. Again, that's the theme of this episode, is blending in modernity with intimacy. And I think Baxter Arena does a fantastic job of that. It's beautiful.
There was a reason when the world was shut down with sports, with the exception of people who could pull off something unique like a hockey pod, when we had that in 2020 in Omaha, not North Dakota, was chosen. And I get it, maybe part of that's location compared to the rest of the league, but the fact that all of the different things surrounding Baxter Arena on top of the arena itself, whether it's for the fans or, most importantly, we're there to watch the players, for the players and for their safety too. Baxter Arena checks all of those boxes.
That's going to wrap things up for this pod. Nick, you got any final thoughts?
Nope, just keep the attendance going. Love to see everybody making it out there. And one of my favorite things is I love hearing about people's first experience, especially for whether you're someone in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or even you're bringing your kid for the first time. Love hearing about those stories. So keep that coming. And you know what? You might just get the occasional puck if you come on down.
Awesome. Well, that's going to wrap things up for the episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you in the next pod.